that? Yeah. Yep. You just let me know right before you're ready to start.
Yeah, if everybody's come over a little bit so we don't obstruct the passage over there. Malika, hey dear, thank you, babe. Thank you. Don't want them to have any reason to complain.
Okay. Ready? All ready?
Ready?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Roger Williams. I'm the president of OPAL, the Organization for Positive Action Leadership. We're here this morning for a press conference. Thank you, community members, members of the press. This is really kind of a somber occasion, but it's really a call to action. What we're really talking about is the conference really is about the Black student achievement gap. Basically, there have been no goals, no plans, no programs, no sense of urgency to mitigate the achievement gap that Black and actually and Latinx children experience in District 65. Serious gap. And this press conference is we want to bring attention to this very situation. I have to my left is Melissa Blount, Dr. Melissa Blount. She's going to be a spokesperson. She's a community member. She has children in the school system here. But anyway, that's why we're here.
Thank you. I'll be reading a statement for OPAL. Evanston Skokie School District 65 is a district rich with resources in a community that takes great pride in education and diversity. Yet these resources do not seem to translate into academic gains for Black students. In 1967, African American students in District 65 scored at the 27th percentile in reading and at the 39th percentile in mathematics, versus white students who scored at the 64th percentile in reading and 76th percentile in math. In other words, a white student was more than twice as likely to read well as a Black student, and almost twice as likely to do well in math. In 2016, 49 years later, District 65 released a report on Black student achievement, revealing that 49 years later, District 65 continues to undereducate Black students, and the achievement gap has widened, not narrowed. A white student today is nearly 3 times more likely to reach college readiness benchmarks in reading, and nearly 4 times more likely to reach benchmarks in math. For the last 3 years, OPAL has pushed and collaborated with the District 65 board and superintendent to provide meaningful solutions to the achievement gap, and has waited patiently for meaningful and steady results. In those 3 years, the district has failed Black students by hiring too few Black teachers, had used a curriculum that does not highlight positive contributions by the Black culture, and has disproportionately disciplined Black students compared to their white classmates. While we applaud the district's response to OPAL's request for data disaggregated by race, the district's adoption of a racial equity policy and the district mandate that all staff complete the Beyond Diversity training by 2019, we remain disappointed that there has been no statistically significant gains in Black student achievement. This is unacceptable to us and should be unacceptable to this generous community that so graciously provides numerous resources to help all students succeed. Given Evanston's significant tax investment, OPAL is demanding greater accountability to ensure educational achievement and success for Black students. OPAL and its supporters demand that District 65 implement a rigorous, result-oriented accountability system that immediately focuses upon improving African American student outcomes. What does this mean? It means we are calling upon District 65 to implement the hiring practices, curriculum changes, and school climate initiatives of schools and districts that are succeeding with Black student achievement. It also means the following. Expectations must be clear that all District 65 schools must raise achievement for all students. District 65 must create a way to communicate to the public which schools and which individual faculty are meeting expectations for Black students. District 65 must create a system of incentives for individual faculty, celebrating these schools and faculty who succeed with Black students, and acknowledging publicly the action steps to be taken by schools and faculty members who fail in their ability to properly educate Black students, and the resources to be directed to those schools and teachers to help them meet expectations. District 65 must initiate a plan to immediately hire Black teachers where vacancies exist. The lack of urgency, accountability, and gains for Black students has convinced us that the district needs to hire a Black student coordinator to advocate for our underserved students. OPAL is unsatisfied with the district response to these demands and will continue to hold our leaders accountable to make tangible progress in each area. We will not be complacent while achievement gaps widen. Property taxes increase and the racial disparity continues for another 40 years. If you want to be the Evanston that we think we are, we have to demand that District 65 quit making excuses and achieve racial equity in our schools now. Thank you.
She just wanted us to mention, there is a board meeting tonight at 7 o'clock, and we would encourage everyone to attend. And we were just really fortunate. Ta-Nehisi Coates was just here, and he talked about the experience of Black people in this country, and what he said to America, that you have to stop lying about your history. And part of this stop lying about your history is to begin to educate Black students at the level that we know that our children can learn at. And so the plundering, the lies, the robbery, the taking away of so many things from Black people, restoration has to happen now. Thank you.
We're going to take a few questions and comments before we end this meeting. So, any questions or comments?
I'm a reporter from Evanston now. I wondered if I could ask for some specifics. If you, when you approached Dr. Gordon and the board, what specifically would you ask for? Specific programs you could implement or want to see implemented, or?
Well, one of the first things that could be done is that we're asking for a coordinator to really assess. And I think the other thing is that we want the district to respond with a sense of urgency. You know, there's this thing that they've done where they are going to meet certain needs, the Beyond the Diversity training that we mentioned, but it's until 2019. Why would it take that long to face an issue that has such dire consequences? There are children suffering right now. So what we want them specifically to do is to hire a person specifically targeted to address this issue with respect to Black students. And then the flip side of that is that with Martha Burns just saying that Ta-Nehisi Coates spoke to the plundering of the Black community, we're also asking that there be an equitable way in which we address history within the curriculum. So we want specific curriculum addressed with respect to what's the real, actual history of America. What's the actual history of Evanston, in which we can say that there was intentional restrictive covenants here in the city. There's still not an adequate addressing of affordable housing, and all of that leads to inadequate and unequal resources dedicated to the educating of Black students. Then you have white students growing up in communities that are deeply segregated, in which they are growing up with a sense of superiority that bleeds out into our society, and it traumatizes them and leads them to have this kind of inflated sense of entitlement. So we really want the board to reflect the needs of the community and to address those needs. So I don't know if we have specific, well, the coordinator, we do, but, and we just want them to address it with a sense of urgency and not to take that long of time. And there's fact sheets that we have that will circulate amongst others. So I don't mean to say that we don't have specifics, but I mean within the context of what we're doing, there's just a sense of urgency that we like to see reflected in the board's approach to the problem solving.
I have one follow-up question. It was about the referendum passed. There's a lot of, and the state budget passed, so there's no more surety with regard to funding. I'm wondering if you're disappointed that those funds haven't already been earmarked for your needs.
First of all, it didn't take the funds to come here in order enough for academic gains. This district already spends $14,150 per student before the money came. So this is not about the referendum being able to enhance, etc. This was, that money was already here. It's already a fact that administrators on average make $143,000. It's already a fact that we have student-teacher ratios in the 20 range, 20 to 1 range. We have all of the things here in place before that referendum. So to say that the referendum is the reason why, no. And in terms of what the district needs to do, right here in this building, we have JEH, our Early Childhood Education Center, with over 200 students in that, in those classes that are not properly being prepared to go on to kindergarten and make gains. They are already behind. And if we can't educate preschool students, then we need to get out of the business, or we need to turn this preschool over to someone who can make a difference.
Very quickly, we're not here in an adversarial role. We're here to request more action and less rhetoric. It's been so long that we've had agreement on topics. We just want more action to try to get the things done to close the academic gap, particularly of our students of color. Thank you.
I have a question.
Nina.
I have a question.
Roger, Nina has a question.
Oh, sorry.
Is there something that happened specifically that you chose today to do this news conference?
Well, it's something that we've been meeting with the District 65 with Dr. Gorn on a number of occasions. It was just one of those situations where we had a letter that was sent to Dr. Gorn and the board a few years ago, about 2 years ago, and he actually we brought that letter up again, and he did a response to it. But basically, the response that he gives is pretty much the same as usual. You see, what we were answering, he's willing to offer some reports and things of that nature, but and he did come with some plans, but ultimately there are no goals, no plans or programs that directly mitigate the student achievement gap. There's nothing in there. And then now I brought there's copies of this around here, some facts, what's going on in District 65, and there's some hardcore numbers here. I mean, if you look at this thing, only like what is that one? I think about 40% of the students in JEH preschool of black students are reading at the kindergarten level. 40%, and something like over 70% of the white children. So this has been going on for a while, and we want action. Someone asked, you mentioned a question earlier about programs. I'll just speak for myself. I'm not here to teach teachers how to teach, administrators how to administer, but if you're professionals and this is your charge to educating children, you ought to feel an inward compulsion to do the job. And so basically, like I said once again, there are no plans. specific goals, plans, and programs. And so we're at this point right now, we're just saying enough is enough. We need to see some action. Not another meeting. I'm involved with task force, involved with District 65 right now. And we get together and it's like, it's tedious, it's not, it's a lot, well, there's a lot of rhetoric, but basically it's not targeted to a goal, to some type of goal that with some particular outcome. And that's what we want now.
Someone asked about what we asked of Dr. Gorin in our letter of August 21, and I have copies. Some of you have already received copies. If we run out of paper copies, we will certainly email it to you. We stressed 3 particular areas. The hiring of black teachers. We requested more black teachers a year ago. Almost nothing happened. We requested it again, and we requested reporting to show us exactly what's going to happen, what is happening as it happens. We want a hiring plan, and we want a retention process for increasing and sustaining black teachers throughout District 65. And we want an immediate assessment of the current substitute teacher pool to identify black teachers who would be eligible for hire as permanent full-time teachers immediately. In the area of K-3 literacy, we are asking for public reporting because the district has not previously provided the kind of statistics disaggregated by race, grade, and school that we required. We got a report from the district, but it contains very few metrics in terms of what's going to qualify as success and how we're going to get there. How do we get from here to there? And the third area is JEH, as Roger was just saying. The statistics coming out of JEH are dismal. The district's response to our requests were a plan to improve ISL test scores of Black and Latinx children by 50% over the next 3 years. We requested public reporting to make it clearer what's actually happening, and a plan to get where we need to go. The district's response was to produce a task force, the task force that Roger has been participating in. It's another chance for people to sit around and talk about what they think ought to happen. But talking about what we think ought to happen doesn't actually make it happen. We are asking for action. We're asking for clear steps, for metrics for success. How do we get from here to there? Thank you.
My name is Rose Cannon, and I have a grandchild in this system in District 65. We just completed an IEP for him last Wednesday, and at the end of the IEP, we asked to see the blue room that my grandchild has been sent to. It's called a timeout room. It's a sensory deprivation room where they put our BD and ED children, and basically they are African American, the children in that group. I understand from professionals in the system that there are 3 of these blue rooms throughout District 65, and that's where they send our children to when they feel that they can't control them. We were not advised that our child was sent to that room. His mother was never advised. There are a number of children in my grandson's room that regularly go to sensory deprivation rooms at the request of their teachers. And most of these children are African American boys and some girls. We are so upset over this that District 65, they showed us the room. They're not hiding it, but there's 3 of them, and they use it for our children, and mostly our black children. And we feel that many of the parents whose children are sent in these rooms are not being notified. There are no records for when each time a child goes to these rooms, it has to be recorded somewhere. And we asked for all of that information, and it was not forthcoming. So we have the blue rooms in District 65, and I saw them. I saw one.
can I ask you directly about that? Did they tell you any kind of benefit for the child at all, how it would benefit the child?
How would that be done? Well, yeah, they said the room should be used when the child is when he's a threat to himself or to some other children. And I specifically asked my grandchild, why were you sent? And he was sent 3 times last year. He said he was sent because he was eating a French fry left over from his lunch. And the teacher told him, get him out. Right. And so I understand that they put these children in this blue room, and the blue room is padded with blue padding on the walls, nothing for them to sit on. They close the door, which is illegal. They're not supposed to close the door. And a lot of this stuff is not even recorded anywhere where the teachers are using this. And that's what's got me triggered today. But I am just literally shocked that our 21st century district, and I went through the school system too, has something like this.
Thanks so much. Okay, we'll take a couple more questions, then we're going to end this meeting. Anyone else?
Yeah, well, I have been active in school for a long time. My kids started in 1975, and these graphs have been there since 1975, maybe before that, and it never changes. And I understand what people were saying about mistreatment of kids and everything, but you know, there were some times when District 65 had contracts. The school signed a contract, the parents signed a contract, and the kids signed a contract to do well, you know, to study, the parents to support the schools and support the teachers, to basically support the kids. And that suddenly disappeared. And I think that there is 3 components to education, and we have to lavish the 3 components. For example, do they have any programs for parents? Do all parents know what to do with their kids? Many don't, in all colors, whites and blacks, and especially Hispanics and Hispanic. And how come they don't have? You know that there are many schools where they take kindergarten and on kids to visit colleges. Do they do that here? They take them to, including inside the rooms where the professors are teaching, and they talk about, what do you do here? Do you want to be a veterinarian? Do you want to work, you know, save little dogs and little cats? Do you want to do that? They don't do that here. You have to brainwash your kids from the time they are practically born. One time, a group of...
Excuse me 1 second. I really appreciate your commentary. Well, one of the things that we're talking about is righting historical wrongs. So you're talking about things like at an individual level, and so we're talking about systemic issues and centuries of historical wrongs that have been perpetrated among black people. So that isn't something that we're going to rectify necessarily at a personal level. We want things to be done at the district level. So right now, today, we're focusing on the district. And so we can talk afterwards about that, but we want the district to do everything that they can to their fullest capacity to rectify these historical wrongs.
Okay, how about rectifying foster school?
Yeah. Well,
why not put foster school again in the government?
Those are some good.
Does somebody else have a question?
Roger, let's go to another person.
But here's the thing. There's a board meeting each month. District 65 board meeting. I think it's on about the 3rd Monday of each month. I encourage you to attend the board meeting and voice your concerns there. As Melissa just mentioned, we're looking at that more systemic issue. Now we're going to take one more question or comment.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Stooge. I sit on the board for both sides here. For JEH, I'm the chairperson and the vice president for the 0 to 3 program. The reason why I started and got on the board is to have a voice for minority and other children. I got tired of looking at the flyers and seeing us make minorities and black parents as statistics. And I got tired of my 3-year-old sitting in a padded room with no teacher. So, as a parent, it's a little bit on some of us parents. Some of us are younger and the youth and, you know, don't have as much and work too much. And you think this school system, when you send your kids to school, that they're going to get everything to educate and provide. But no, it hasn't been that.
Okay. One of the things, let's get ready.
Oh, I wasn't finished.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The IEPs. As a parent, I found out that you parents can speak out and where you want your child to be and be placed. You also can go into the schools, you can see this padded route, and you can refuse. As a black parent, I have. Yeah, they've done a lot of steps to try to stop me, you know, as a parent, but you just got to keep on pushing, and I need to hear more voices, you know, at these parent meetings like this is out here, so that it can stop, because it started when my baby was 2 years old, and I didn't understand about an IEP or ASQ. When you hand an ASQ to a person that doesn't have a high school diploma, you want to know what is that about, what is it for? And then you're telling me you're working on my kid's developmental and cognitive and all of these things, but when I come in, he's in a padded room. But when I get an IEP, you're more worried about what comes on, what goes on in my home, and what am I doing as a parent instead of educating my child. Yes, we do need more black parents. Yes, all the teachers, the black student teachers, the helpers, are doing more of the work in the classroom than the teachers that are getting paid for it. Yes, they're hiring the social workers that have no children and don't come from a broken home or a fatherless or a motherless or a foster parent. So yeah, we need a little bit of help. And if you can explain it better on paperwork instead of just giving us what's in the book and what you read and what you learned in the class, maybe we can understand it and maybe we can relate and stand together and do what we need to do for our kids instead of you putting them in padded rooms. And I got from the age 19 to the age of 2, and I'm still working on it. And that's all I got to say.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad you got a chance to have some other things to say. I would say this. Now we're every month, like on the third Monday of the month, District 65 has a board meeting. I really encourage you and everyone else, parent, anyone else concerned, to come to those meetings. OPAL has a presence at each one of those meetings. I know I've been at almost every one myself. So, but to have someone, a parent, come in and speak is very, very important. My kids are they're going to college. They're doing their own thing right now. I'm doing this thing. I'm trying to help out, reach back and grab some other people, help them out right now. So anyway, come to tonight at 7 o'clock. There's going to be a joint board meeting right here at, I believe it's at JEH, right here. Okay, come in and voice your, should be a sign-up sheet, and you put your name down, and once you get up and say what's on your mind. And that is the forum for dealing with a specific issue. Now, before we end, make sure everyone, there's some information, some data that's around I'd like you to take a look at. Just wanted to let you know we're not just moaning. There's data that supports everything that we've been talking about. It's not like we just came up with this stuff. We're just crying. And this thing has been going on for years, but the data is there. Now is the time to act. So thank you, press, members of the press, and community members and parents. Thank you for coming out this morning at this press conference. Thank you. And have a great day.
You know about it.
Oh, you didn't get up? Let me find the other
Oh my God!
Hey, Nina.
We went to college together. That's amazing.
Hey, Robert, how you doing? Okay, man. Thanks for your leadership.
Because I know all of her. And this whole thing has been interesting to me because I think it's like the whole conversation, like, this position is happening community-wide. get the public health departments involved too. The dynamic there is very interesting. The dynamic all over the city is so interesting.
Put you on camera as a new Edmonstonian.
I don't know. You watch my original show, I know.
You show up. And
What
I
I
show
say.
up. Well, I'm just going to ask you, you know, when did you come to Evanston? And why did you come to this news conference? And what do you think? So that's my question.